After two disappointing losses against lower tier teams, I'm making my first video in a couple years after a Warriors L. I want to go back to the late third and fourth quarters of the Spurs and Nets games to break down exactly what went wrong on the defensive end. Was it lineups, rotations, matchups? I think it's important to dissect this early on in the season because we don't want to repeat the habits of last year. So let's get to it. If you guys have been following my channel for a while, you know I pretty much only make videos after Warriors wins, but it's Thanksgiving break and I got time on my hands, and I thought to myself, maybe I should switch it up, since I'm sure many other fans are also curious just like me how they're choking these leads. For the Spurs game, the Dubs were up 81-64 with a minute left in the third quarter. The problem in any Warriors losses was always turnovers. First you got what looks like to be a fully legal solid screen set by Looney that is called moving. This was pretty ridiculous in my opinion, as you can see even Looney is shocked, but you're going to unfortunately have to control the controllables here. With a 2-for-1 possession on an out-of-bounds play, Wiggins is picking up Castle and the Spurs run a high pick and roll with him and Zach Collins. Looney's in a drop and there's 34 seconds here, perfect for a 2-for-1 shot. Should Looney have been more aware of the time and potentially stepped up? Sure, you can say that, but the rookie is a 28% 3-point shooter, so if he pulls up and makes it, you'll live with that versus him potentially blowing past you for a layup. Give credit to the rookie here, but this is not the Warriors' fault. These are the ones that you just cannot have. Shot clock is winding down, you have a high pick and roll with Buddy Hield and Looney. The Spurs trap this, trying to force the ball out of Buddy's hand, and this crucial turnover helps San Antonio end the quarter on a massive 7-0 run with the layup on the other end. You just cannot have that. On an out-of-bounds play, Wemby tries to go one-on-one with Jackson Davis, and the Warriors do a really good job letting him go ISO and guarding the shooters. Kyle Anderson is in pretty good position here, but on this kick out to the wing, call me a casual Spurs fan, but I do not know who Sandro Manuelashvili is. He is historically a 34% 3-point shooter, but somehow shooting 43% from downtown this year. My analysis here is, Golden State successfully got the ball out of the superstar's hands for a decently contested 26-footer from a role player. You may disagree with me, but I feel like this is pretty good defense. Just gotta give credit to the offense here for knocking down the shot. This one kinda stings. Great initial defense here to get the stop, but unfortunately Anderson falls down and throws it right to the Spurs player. Now Golden State resets, but Wemby is able to get dribble penetration past Pajensky, forcing the Warriors into rotation. This obviously is not favorable, so you gotta do better here as an initial point of attack defender, and now Wemby commands so much attention, both Anderson and TJD rotate over to help. Easy lob for the finish. Obviously the Dubs gotta do a couple things better here. Now, you're still up 9, but here's a miscommunication by the Warriors. Wemby kicks it out to Wesley on the right corner, and he's pretty much in isolation. You can see Moses Moody angle his body to allow the drive right, because Golden State has a philosophy to try to allow offensive players attack the baseline, where the Warriors can not only use the out of bounds as another defender, but often the weak side low man comes over to help. This is clearly on purpose, so once Wesley makes the move, what is Pajensky doing here standing in the restricted area? You have to either go take a charge or contest, not get in the way. This is too easy of a layup, and you can see Moody's frustration as to where the help is supposed to come from. Bad defense by Golden State. Now, it does not help that the Warriors could not score a bucket to save their lives either, but if you look at the lineup that has been in the whole time, having 2 shooters in either Moody or Buddy or Waters, and 3 non-shooters in TJD, Anderson, and now Pajensky is just not going to cut it. It's down to 6 points, and here Wemby gets the ball at the top of the arc. I know he's Wembyama, but if you're Jackson Davis, don't full sprint out since you're literally his matchup. He's shooting 33% from 3, let him take that shot. Now the shot fake just gets the biggest defender out of the picture, and Wemby is going to do alien things here and Euro step for the layup. Terrible defense here. Finally, Steve Kerr puts Steph back in, but the lead has shrunk by 10 points. On-ball pick and roll with CP3 and Wemby, and the Warriors have Waters fight over while TJD plays a drop. Chris Paul is not going to shoot this, so it's an obvious pass to Wembanyama. Golden State will live with him shooting a long mid-range, so I think his defense is actually fine, but the Spurs are too close to striking distance already. Mind you, I'm only focusing on the defensive end. The entire time the Warriors could barely make a bucket while having more turnovers than field goals. It was a second night of a back-to-back, so I'm not going to blame them from shooting terribly, especially Steph, Draymond, and now Pajensky. Even on this down screen by Chris Paul, I don't think this is bad defense at all. Let Wemby pump fake and shoot that. You'll live with that as the Warriors defense, but at this point it's a tied game. Now, for the Brooklyn Nets game, this choke pissed me off way more. They got the rest and are playing at home, and the Warriors were up 18 with 7 minutes left in the third quarter. With the shot clock winding down, isolation by Jalen Williams, who's a 35% three-point shooter, but bad showing by Draymond Green here. I know you want to give him his weak left hand, but this is a too much space and momentum for him for a straight line drive. Nice left hand layup on a great defender. This one was pretty upsetting. Great defense for 24 seconds, forcing a tough shot at the end, but I want you guys to see Waters' position here first. If you can't guarantee to finish the possession with the rebound, you gotta sprint back. Letting your man have an open lane to cut and finish a layup while running back kinda half-assed and expecting help at the very last second is unacceptable. Bad defensive effort here by Waters. On this drive against Looney, the weak side low man and Kyle Anderson correctly helps. Steph is now responsible for the two weak side shooters and makes the first rotation while Buddy Hield correctly replaces him to the next swing pass. Looney is back up to rotate up top to Zaire Williams, who was playing center last night and shoots a poor 29% from downtown. What are you going to do when role players become snipers? But in my opinion, this is great defense by Golden State and you'll live with this shot. It goes back to bad turnovers leading to fast break opportunities. Just like the Spurs game, all it takes is one terrible possession that gives the opponents an easy scoring chance to give them life mentally. Steph tries to drive and picks up the dribble as Williams leaves his man to double team. I know what Curry is trying to do here with the drop-off pass and relocate, but a no-look bounce pass behind you is too lazy. The Nets just want it more as the steal and dunk forces Kerr to call timeout. Some of these examples, you just got to give the opponents credit. A Shake Milton left-hand drive, and when Looney comes to help as the weak side low man, a fading to the left, Kobe Bryant looking pull-up with a hand in your face was just not in my bingo card. Credit Milton for making this tough shot. Now, you're still up 9, but this lineup was unfortunately trash offensively in the third quarter. It's a make or miss league, so if your main role is to score and you're not, you gotta get out of the game. The Warriors had scored 4 points in the last 5 minutes, absolutely pitiful. Even here, I don't think necessarily GP2 is playing bad defense. Yeah, he's got his hand down, but Schroeder is known for his slow release and quickness to the rim. Especially with 14 seconds left on the shot clock, you're gonna let him take these if you're the Dubs. Credit Dennis for making this one as he's been hot this year from beyond the arc. 8-point lead here, but both teams were off. I'm going to put some blame on Buddy Hield for shooting bricks the last couple games and not getting taken out earlier. Not having Melton and Kuminga obviously hurts, and I know you're trying to rest Steph. Solid defense on the pick and roll as GB2 fights to go over the pick while Looney is in a drop. Trenton Waffer is a 22% 3-point shooter this season. I just don't have much else to say, but the Warriors playing great defense, but the open shot made them pay. It's a make or miss league and sometimes it hurts a little more. So you start the fourth quarter only with a 5-point lead. Instead of putting Steph back in to stop the bleeding, Steve Kerr takes out Hield and Moses to put in Wiggins and Waters. Waters is still fine, but his defense has been lacking lately. Moses Moody, however, had 15 points in 16 minutes in the first half. Why aren't you leaving him in? Why keep Pajensky as the ball handler even though he's been struggling this year with his shot, when you just gotta put in Steph before it's a tied game? Shot clock winding down and great defense by Waters. Credit Schroeder for making this tough floater. I'm fine with this defense. This one was a dagger. GP2 last night was also struggling on ball defense. He kept allowing players to go to their strong right hand and trying to reach, sometimes leading to fouls. You're great as an on-ball guy. Now when you give them their right hand, this forces Waters to rotate over the help. Wiggins now has to X out and rotate to the strong side corner, but this has to be GP2's rotation instead of Waters since he had just jumped up to contest. Waters now has a 20-foot closeout and doesn't even get a hand up. Schroeder is too hot and drills the 3. And now for the last couple plays I want to break down. You realize that both Steph and Draymond still are not in the game. If you can't see the score, Brooklyn erased an 18-point deficit in less than 10 minutes. I can't help but think to myself, if LeBron is playing 35 minutes a game for the Lakers under JJ Redick, why can't Kerr put in Steph and Draymond to stop the bleeding? You still have the same lineup that gave up the lead, and even with the shot clock winding down, Pods comes to help as the weak side low man and GP2 has the X out on the weak side. Williams does a great job seeing the closeout and immediately swinging the ball, but if you're Wiggins, you just have to be a half second earlier to recognize the next rotation. Again, these are highly contested shots by Schroeder and the Nets, but lucky offense always beats good defense, and Brooklyn takes the lead on this Hail Mary shot. This is crazy to me. You have literally 4 timeouts left and Brooklyn has 2. Somehow they're up 1. Is it out of my mind to think that the Nets coach realized that he should call the timeouts when they're down to stop the momentum? No, Kerr still wanted to keep the timeouts while sitting as 2 veteran Hall of Famers on the bench. Fast break opportunity by Watford, forcing the weak side help from Brzezinski. I honestly don't really know if this was even necessary since Jackson Davis has this covered, but now this forces Waters to have the 2 weak side Nets players. Kick out to Milton, who's shooting 44% from 3 this season, and now you have to have Waters make up 10 feet due to the overhelp. It's another 3-pointer by the Nets, but guess what? Kerr still does not call timeout despite being down 4 points. There you guys have it. Like I said in the beginning, I never break down losses, but it's the NBA and losses happen. But these last 2 L's have been frustrating because of how the Warriors lost. Choking 17 and 18 point leads in the second half is just unacceptable, but it was a combination of bad effort on defense, ineffective lineups that did not have but productive offensive output, and leaving timeouts on the table while stars sit on the bench watching a lead evaporate. Those pissed me off the most. I guess Steve Kerr is looking at a marathon the rest of the year, but with the West always being a bloodbath and the schedule only getting harder, these games are the ones that the Warriors need to win to stay atop of the Western Conference. It is unacceptable to watch LeBron and Harden carry their teams while Steph sits on the bench, especially when strength in numbers is not working on a particular night. You have to make in-game adjustments and keep players that are hot in the game while take the ones that are struggling out. It's not rocket science, and that is what specifically ticked me off the last 2 choked leads. It also does not help that the opponent made lower percentage shots, but that's the NBA for you. Hope I was able to break down some of what went wrong and how we can potentially avoid this moving forward. So if you guys like this breakdown, like and subscribe to see more.